The car rolls through iron gates she hasn't seen in 7 years. Evelyn Hart sits in the back seat, hands clasped tight around a gift box she didn't buy, but wrapped perfectly. The countryside estate stretches ahead like a memory she never asked to revisit. White tents, violins tuning, laughter bubbling under the weight of decorum. Her mother's words replay in her head. Behave this time. Don't embarrass the family. But the real embarrassment, Evelyn thinks, has already taken root. Behind manicured smiles, inside fluted glasses, beneath the floral arch where lies bloom like roses. As the car stops, she catches her reflection in the tinted glass. 32, composed, eyes sharp with quiet war. She steps out, heels sinking into the gravel, and the murmurs begin. Ghosts of gossip wearing pearls and politeness. The air inside the reception hall feels too perfumed, too polite. Evelyn glides through clusters of relatives who smell of champagne and judgment. Their laughter, brittle and rehearsed, fractures as she passes. They whisper her name like it's contraband. Evelyn Hart, the one who ran away, the one who ruined everything. Her navy gown moves with liquid defiance against the sea of pastels. The same color as the bride's dress, they murmur. Unforgivable. Every smile she receives is dipped in venom. Every compliment, a blade wrapped in lace. A waiter offers her a drink. She takes it, eyes cold, savoring the burn. In the corner, a young cousin giggles, mimicking her posture. Evelyn meets her eyes. The laughter dies. The violins falter mid-note. For a moment, the room seems to remember that every family's grace is built on one person's silence. And Evelyn no longer intends to be that person. Evelyn barely makes it to the side terrace before her mother appears, poised, silver hair glinting like a crown. Margaret Hart's voice is low but lethal. Don't embarrass the family, she says, each word measured, trimmed of affection. Evelyn turns, the sunset painting half her face in firelight. You mean, don't tell the truth, she replies, softly. Margaret steps closer, perfume sharp as accusation. This is your cousin's day, not your redemption tour. The word redemption lingers like smoke. Evelyn smiles, serene, but her hand grips the balcony rail. Below them, laughter and violins dance. Up here, war brews between two women wearing the same bloodline, and none of its warmth. Relax, mother, Evelyn says. Voice steady. I wouldn't dream of embarrassing you. The lie tastes sweet. The crowd gathers beneath chandeliers. Crystal stems clink, laughter returns, but the undercurrent has shifted. Evelyn stands beside the wedding cake, the candles flicker reflecting in her glass. Charlotte, radiant, 29, her cousin, her mirror turned cruel, takes the mic. To family, Charlotte begins, her smile as flawless as it is false. Evelyn raises her glass, gaze steady. The bride's words drip with practiced charm, but every line is a knife wrapped in ribbon. To forgiveness, Charlotte finishes, eyes locking with Evelyn's across the room. The applause masks tension thick enough to slice. Evelyn's lips barely move as she whispers into her champagne. To truth, the bubbles rise like ghosts. It begins as laughter. The DJ flips a switch, but the wireless mic remains live. Evelyn's voice, low and amused, spills across the speakers. Funny, isn't it? How they pretend nothing happened. The words drift over the crowd like perfume, soft, then poisonous. Heads turn. The bride freezes mid-smile. Margaret's wine glass trembles. They ruin one life. Evelyn's voice continues, and call it family tradition. Silence swallows the room. Evelyn stands frozen, realizing too late. Her face remains composed, but her pulse hammers. The guests stare, some shocked, others delighted. Then comes the brittle laugh from Charlotte, a sound too loud to be real. "Looks like we've all been unmuted," she says. The night's elegance fractures, revealing the rot beneath. The laughter dies first. Then the music falters. The silence that follows feels heavy enough to crush glass. Evelyn's words still echo faintly from the speakers. They ruin one life and call it family tradition. Eyes swarm her like flies over a wound. Charlotte's hand drops her bouquet. Petals scatter across the marble like tiny white confessions. Margaret's voice cuts through the chaos, trembling but sharp. "Turn that off, but the damage is irreversible." Evelyn stands still, her spine a steel rod of control, but inside she's trembling with the knowledge that truth never asks permission. The DJ stammers apologies. Someone laughs too loudly. The illusion of the perfect wedding is cracked. And through the cracks, the family's rot begins to seep. The bridal suite door slams behind them, rattling the mirrors. Charlotte's veil is gone, replaced by fury so raw it seems to hum in the air. "You just couldn't let me have one day?" she spits. Evelyn, standing by the vanity, doesn't flinch. "You had every day for years," she says evenly. Charlotte's mascara streaks down her cheek, dark rivers cutting through porcelain perfection. "Do you even know what you've done?" she screams, pacing, heels clattering. Evelyn finally looks at her reflection instead of her cousin. "I reminded them what they buried," she says, voice calm as ash. Charlotte's breath hitches. "You've destroyed us." Evelyn turns, meeting her gaze. "No, Charlotte. I've set us free." Later, Evelyn stands at the head table, microphone in hand again. The crowd expects contrition. What they get is a sermon of quiet vengeance. "I'm sorry," she begins, eyes scanning faces that once pitied her. "I'm sorry I ever believed silence kept peace. I'm sorry I thought reputation was worth my dignity." Murmurs stir like wind before a storm. "Families shouldn't need secrets to stay whole," she finishes, setting the mic down. The applause is hesitant, fractured, politeness warring with shock. Evelyn's mother doesn't clap. Charlotte stares, eyes glassy with humiliation. But Evelyn doesn't need their forgiveness. The apology was never for them. It was her declaration of war. A memory unfolds. 7 years earlier, in the same estate garden, Evelyn in white, not as a bride, but as the scapegoat, whispers about a scandal, about a man she never loved, but was blamed for ruining. The truth. Her uncle's investment fraud buried beneath her reputation. Her mother's voice then, as cold as now. "You'll take the fall, or we'll all burn." Evelyn's tears then had tasted of disbelief. Now, they taste of vindication. The flashback fades into present. The garden outside still identical, untouched by guilt. Some things, Evelyn thinks, never wilt. They just wait for light. The wedding is chaos now. Guests whisper in corners. Reporters hover outside the gates. And the once perfect cake sags under heat and tension. Evelyn walks alone through the ballroom, shoes in hand, the echo of her own steps louder than the murmurs. Her reflection stares back from the mirrored wall, unbroken, unashamed. She whispers to it, they wanted silence. "I'll give them symphony." Her phone buzzes, a message from an unknown number. You don't know half of it. She looks toward the dark terrace, where shadows move. The game, it seems, isn't over. It's just begun. The estate's corridors hum with aftermath. Laughter replaced by whispers. Champagne by quiet panic. Evelyn lingers in the shadow of the study door, drawn by the voices inside, her mother's and her uncle's. "She's dangerous now," Margaret hisses. "She has nothing left to lose." The uncle's reply is lower, oily. Then we remind her what losing feels like. Evelyn's pulse hammers. The scent of brandy seeps through the wood, memories of hushed arguments returning like smoke. She presses her hand against the cool paneling, listening, and realizes this was never about her embarrassment. It was about control, about inheritance, about silencing the wrong heart. She steps back quietly, the choice already made. They'll wish she'd stayed silent. Evelyn slips into the office after midnight. The desk still smells of her uncle's cologne and arrogance. Files sit stacked like monuments to deceit. She plugs a flash drive into the family computer, her hands steady, her breath shallow. The folder names read like gravestones. Accounts, 2017. Legal transfers, photos. In a subfolder meant for wedding portraits, she finds it. A video. Grainy. Time-stamped. Her uncle handing an envelope to a city official. Her mother watching. Silent. Evelyn leans closer to the screen, heart pounding. Proof. It had never been her scandal. It had always been theirs. She copies the file, whispering, "Your secret, my weapon." Charlotte finds her there, in the mirror room, the place where family portraits stare down like silent judges. "You're destroying everything," Charlotte says, voice trembling. Evelyn doesn't turn. Everything was already destroyed. "You just kept pretending." Charlotte steps closer, tears balanced on the edge of rage. "You wanted this, to humiliate us." Evelyn faces her reflection, not her cousin. "No, I wanted them to see you." Charlotte's breath hitches. For a moment, both women stare at their mirrored selves. 2 generations of lies etched into their faces. "You think you're free now?" Charlotte whispers. "Freedom's just loneliness with better lighting." Evelyn smiles faintly. "Then I'll learn to live in it." By morning, Evelyn has a plan. She sends an anonymous email, the video attached, to a journalist known for loving family scandals. She doesn't sign it. Instead, she attaches one line. "The Harts built their empire on silence." Outside, birds sing over the ruins of last night's perfection. Inside, Evelyn watches her mother's portrait, wondering if vengeance is ever pure or just inherited. Her phone buzzes. Received. Verifying. She exhales, slow, steady. The first move made, the first stone cast. The wedding decorations still glitter downstairs, oblivious. Soon, the world will see them not as hosts of elegance, but architects of decay. That night, the celebration limps on. The DJ restarts music as if nothing happened. Guests dance with forced smiles. Gossip now, the rhythm beneath the melody. Evelyn joins the floor. One last masquerade. Charlotte dances opposite her, their eyes meeting across the glittering crowd. The lights spin, catching champagne tears on Charlotte's lashes. Evelyn tilts her head, smiling just enough to sting. "Beautiful evening," she murmurs as they pass each other. For an ending, Charlotte's laugh is sharp, brittle. The crowd sees grace. Neither woman hides the war in their eyes. The night has gone from celebration to performance. Evelyn moves through the ballroom like a ghost with purpose, her steps silent, her gaze fixed. The DJ packs his equipment, oblivious as she leans close and whispers, "One last song." "Mine." He hesitates, sees the authority in her eyes and nods. Her flash drive glints under the light, the same one holding the family's undoing. She walks away, the crowd laughing behind her, unaware of what's about to detonate. The hum of the speakers fills the room, a static heartbeat. Her mother's voice echoes in memory. "Don't embarrass the family." Evelyn smiles to herself. "Not tonight," she murmurs. "Tonight, I'll bury them beautifully." The guests have been her audience all night. Now she gives them their finale. "A special presentation," Evelyn announces, Her voice silk, stretched thin. The projector hums to life, casting pale light across champagne-stained linens. Charlotte claps politely, her expression taut, Margaret frozen in place. Evelyn's heart beats steady. No more hesitation. "For the family," she says, raising her glass. "May we never forget what binds us." The room laughs, unaware, and the screen flickers. Images form, not flowers, not smiles, but the truth in shaky footage. Evelyn lowers her glass, her reflection trembling in the wine's surface. "Let's toast to honesty," she whispers, as the first frame plays. A hush falls as the video plays. The sound of envelopes exchanging hands, voices they all recognize. Margaret's calm authority, Robert's laughter, a bribe sealed with a toast. Gasps ripple through the room. Charlotte covers her mouth. Her father stares, glass slipping from his hand. Evelyn doesn't move. The truth blooms on screen, grotesque and mesmerizing. Someone whispers, "Is that real?" Margaret rises, pale, trembling. "Turn it off," she screams. But the DJ freezes, torn between duty and awe. Evelyn watches her mother, the queen dethroned under her own chandeliers. Her victory doesn't feel clean, but it feels necessary. The film ends. The silence that follows is absolute. The ballroom erupts. Voices clash. Chairs scrape. Camera flashes ignite like gunfire. Margaret shouts orders. No one obeys. Robert storms toward the DJ, shouting, "Who gave you that file?" But Evelyn stands motionless, her face serene amid chaos. Charlotte's mascara streaks down like war paint. "You planned this," she spits. Evelyn turns, her voice steady. "No. I delivered what was yours to face." Her mother stumbles toward her. "You think this redeems you?" Evelyn's smile is faint, sad. "No, it frees me." The chandelier light fractures across the marble floor, shattering into pieces just like the family's name. Evelyn walks out as chaos blooms behind her. The night air is cool, damp with the scent of roses and rain. She doesn't look back. The music, the shouting, the sobs, they all fade into a single, distant hum. Her heels click across the cobblestones, steady as a metronome. Flashbulbs flare at the gate, photographers shouting her name, but she doesn't stop. For the first time in years, her pulse feels her own. Inside, the family will claw and spin their lies anew, but she has already stepped beyond their reach. As she crosses the courtyard, lightning flickers across the horizon, not destruction, but cleansing. The night has witnessed her vengeance. Dawn will forgive nothing. By dawn, the story is everywhere. The Hart family scandal flashes across every news channel, Evelyn's face frozen in the same photograph. Mid-step, leaving the gates like a woman walking out of history. Reporters swarm the estate, their lenses hungry. Margaret retreats behind drawn curtains, her voice absent from statements, her legacy collapsing one headline at a time. Charlotte hasn't left her room. Evelyn watches it all from her small city apartment, sunlight crawling across her bare walls. She takes a sip of coffee, unreadable. Revenge was supposed to roar. Instead, it whispers. Yet beneath that whisper lies satisfaction. Not of victory, but of release. "They wanted silence," she murmurs. "Now the world's listening." Margaret Hart stands before the press. The woman who once ruled dinner tables now cornered by microphones. Her pearls seem heavier, her voice fraying under the weight of exposure. "These accusations," she begins, trembling, air false, but even her denial sounds rehearsed. The reporters don't blink. Cameras flash, capturing the moment. A matriarch crumbles beneath the truth her daughter unleashed. Somewhere across the city, Evelyn watches in silence. No joy, no regret, only the inevitability of consequence. The family that demanded perfection is now perfectly undone. Margaret lowers her eyes, realizing too late that her daughter inherited more than grace. She inherited power. Charlotte's bedroom is a shrine to what was lost. Flowers wilted, makeup scattered, her wedding dress still hanging like a ghost. She watches the replay on her phone. Her own wedding turned confession hall. Tears streak her face, mascara bleeding into the pillow. "She wanted to destroy me," she whispers, though part of her knows Evelyn destroyed what was already dying. Outside, rain smears the windows. Inside, her reflection in the vanity trembles with self-recognition. For the first time, Charlotte sees the same cold ambition in her that she once hated in her cousin. "We are our mother's daughters," she mutters. The admission tastes like salt. Days later, Evelyn walks into a quiet cafe. Conversations hush. People recognize her but say nothing. She orders coffee, sits by the window, and opens her notebook. Inside, a single name: Heart Foundation Charity, the organization that built the family's image and buried their sins. She makes a call. "Dissolve it," she says simply. "Donate the assets to legal aid." The woman on the other end hesitates, then agrees. Evelyn hangs up, exhales, watching sunlight spill through rain streaks. Revenge has become something else, a reclamation of truth. The power they once used to cage her now funds liberation. A week later, Evelyn writes the final thing she owes her mother, a letter. "You told me silence was strength." It begins. "But I learned that truth endures longer than shame." Her handwriting is neat, deliberate. She pauses, watching the ink dry like blood turn to memory. "I don't hate you," she continues. "You taught me how to fight. You just never imagined I'd fight you." She folds the letter, seals it, and places it in an envelope addressed to the old estate. No return address. As she drops it into the mailbox, she feels the strangest thing. Not triumph, not sorrow, but peace. Revenge has finally run its course. The mansion stands empty now. Curtains drawn, chandeliers dark, echoes of laughter, trapped in marble halls. Evelyn visits once, drawn by something she can't name. Dust floats in the shafts of morning light like suspended ghosts. She walks through rooms where lies once waltzed, where she once hid from truth. Each step is softer than memory. In the dining hall, she touches the head of the table, cold, unwelcoming. The seat where her mother used to sit looks smaller now. Revenge gave her victory, but not warmth. "This was never a home," she whispers. Outside, the wind answers, carrying away what remains of the hearts. She leaves the door open behind her, so the ghosts can follow. Her phone buzzes with messages she doesn't open. Journalists, former friends, strangers who call her brave. She doesn't feel brave. She feels empty. Sitting by the river, Evelyn watches the current twist reflections of the city lights into ribbons. The world has moved on, but she hasn't. Her revenge dismantled an empire, yet left her standing in its ashes. "You wanted truth," she tells her reflection in the water. "Now live with it." The ripples swallow her words. She closes her eyes, lets the sound of flowing water cleanse what vengeance couldn't. Freedom, she realizes, costs the one thing she never got to keep: belonging. Evelyn stands before a mirror. Not in the mansion, not gilded, just the one in her modest apartment. Her reflection stares back, plain, unmasked. She studies her eyes, the faint lines of exhaustion, the soft tremor in her lip when she smiles. The woman in the mirror is neither villain nor victim. She's something harder to define: survivor. She reaches out, fingertips touching the glass as if meeting herself for the first time. "It's over," she breathes. The reflection doesn't nod, but it seems to agree. Her phone rings late that night. Unknown number. She almost ignores it, but something, curiosity, maybe conscience, makes her answer. Eames. Heart. A journalist's voice asks, We're doing a documentary. The truth behind the scandal. Would you tell your story? Silence stretches. Evelyn looks at the clock. 2:17 a.m. The world wants her truth, but truth is what already cost her everything. No, she says softly. Some stories don't need retelling. She hangs up, sets the phone down, and opens the window. The city hums below. Alive, indifferent, forgiving nothing but forgetting everything. The next morning, sunlight spills across the floor. Golden, unassuming. Evelyn sits with a blank sheet of paper before her, pen unmoving. Her life is unwritten again. Outside, laughter from a nearby street drifts in, untainted by the weight of family names. She exhales, slow, steady, then stands, leaving the page empty. Not every story needs an ending. She walks out onto the balcony, wind lifting her hair. Somewhere below, the city moves. Unaware, alive. For the first time, Evelyn doesn't need an audience. Silence. The thing they once demanded from her now belongs entirely to her. A year passes like mist over glass, thin, fragile, gone before it's seen. Evelyn lives by the coast now, the sound of the sea, her metronome. The headlines have quieted. New scandals have replaced the hearts. She walks along the shoreline at sunrise, bare feet tracing the tide's retreat. The world feels wider without the weight of legacy pressing against her lungs. Sometimes she wonders if vengeance becomes memory, or if it just sleeps until called again. She hasn't spoken to Charlotte, hasn't returned to the estate. The sea breeze carries no whispers, no judgment. Only the promise that silence, once her prison, has become her freedom. Charlotte's wedding is smaller this time. No press, no chandeliers, just a garden. A handful of people, and vows whispered instead of performed. Evelyn isn't invited, but she comes anyway, unseen, standing beyond the hedges as music drifts through the air. Charlotte looks different, simpler, lighter. Evelyn watches her cousin laugh, genuine and unguarded. For the first time, there's no bitterness, no envy, just distance, tender and necessary. She could walk closer, reveal herself, but chooses not to. Some forgiveness is quieter when left unsaid. Evelyn turns away before the kiss, her heart light for once, not in victory, but release. Later, Evelyn finds herself in a nearby cafe overlooking the same garden. A mirror behind the counter catches her reflection, older, softer, free. She realizes she's smiling without meaning to. The woman in the reflection is not the one who arrived at a wedding ready to burn it all down. She's someone reborn from the ashes, someone who learned that revenge doesn't end stories, it clears space for new ones. Outside, the music fades, replaced by laughter. Evelyn lifts her coffee cup in a quiet toast to the woman she used to be. "You did what you had to," she whispers. "Now, let her rest." Through the cafe's open window, Evelyn hears the groom's voice rise over the laughter. To family, and to never embarrassing them again. The words ripple through the crowd, gentle, ironic. Evelyn's smile deepens, but not with pain. The phrase that once caged her now sounds harmless, almost tender. Time has turned it into an echo of its former cruelty. She tilts her head, listening. Not to the words, but to the joy behind them. That phrase no longer belongs to her story. She lets it pass like a wave that no longer reaches her shore. Evelyn steps out of the cafe, the sound of laughter fading behind her. The sun dips low, gilding the garden and the sea beyond in amber light. She walks toward the horizon, the hem of her dress brushing wild grass. The wind carries faint music, a melody of endings and beginnings. She doesn't look back. Her story, once written in whispers and shame, now dissolves into open air. No revenge left to feed, no ghosts left to fight, only peace. The sky turns gold, then rose, then soft blue as she disappears into the light, leaving behind nothing but the echo of her footsteps and the calm she earned.